out that way, down and across here and back this way and around here. And this was the auditorium. That's where we got our water.
Where's the cistern?
Right here.
Is that where everybody drank?
Everybody drank out of that cistern. Had to draw water out of there with a bucket.
Ferris means. What? Ferris is written on that brick.
Blackboard that is set out a little bit from the wall. And behind that blackboard were shelves. That's where we put our lunches. And on the back blackboard itself were hooks where we hung our coats. And over there in the corners where they kept that bucket, and everybody had to furnish their own drinking glass. So at certain times we were allowed to get a drink. Had to use their own drinking glass.
Aaron,
What?
would you like to get a drink out of there?
No. Nothing in it but trash. Or whoever lived there's been bringing trash the last couple of years.
Here's the rest of the foundation out here. Second and third. Here was the beginning of another room. This was the first grade room over here in this corner. That there is the front yard.
Uncle Luther, any thoughts come to mind when you're looking around in here?
Yeah, lots of them.
Any you want to share with us?
Well, I was trying to figure out how we all of us slept in this room. All the females slept in there in the front room. All the males back here in this room. I don't remember how many beds we had in here, but it looked like we had to have at least 3. Plus some cots and I don't know what else.
Were these walls always that thin?
Yeah. That method of building is called boxed and stripped. You put that 1 to 12 up there and then they put a strip between the cracks on both sides. If you want to put paper on the wall or something, you'd have to put canvas on it first.
Now, is this the front door right here?
Well, that was the door out of this bedroom. What we call the front door was that other than around there.
Any Funny stories or anything that comes to mind when you look out across there?
Well, right at the moment I can't think of any, but one will probably come to me just at the time that you can't take it down.
I think we're a bit more sanitary today.
You don't think it's sanitary enough? Well, I don't know why you'd think it wasn't sanitary, because and when it rained, well, then here would come the bird nests, eggs, baby birds and all, and wash them down here in the cistern. And we had chickens out here in the backyard. This is our backyard. We had chickens. And there was a way that they could get in under that tin wasn't there. And sometimes they'd lose their footing and they'd fall in. And there'd be a drowned chicken down in there. And our barn was right down there, and we had maize and stuff stored in it, and there'd be rats. And sometimes those rats would want to get a drink of water. So during the night, they'd come up here and see if they could get a drink of water out of this cistern, and they'd miss their footing and fall in. Then we'd have rats down in there. And sometimes a lost snake would come looking for water. And then when we got thirsty, we'd dip that bucket down in there and draw out that water and drink it. We had a piece of cloth here that we used for a strainer to strain the big things out that would choke us. That's the water we would drink. You say it's not sanitary.
Did you play off out in that direction or off out in the other direction?
Every direction.
Every direction.
This was our backyard, and it was hard and had gravel on it. That's where we played. Well, all around the house is that way.
Let's say this is a Saturday in September. Let's look back about 1933, 34, 35. What would a typical Saturday, first part of September, be like around here? What noises would we hear? What would we see going on back then?
Well, at this time of the year, our cotton crops would be made and laid by. And school would start about this time of the year. So since there wasn't any work to do right then, well, we would start to school and maybe go a couple of 3 weeks. And then by that time, the cotton would be ready to gather, so we'd have to stop school and get our cotton sacks and go to the cotton field and pick the cotton. And there was, we raised maize to feed the horses. So we had to cut that maize by hand, one head at a time with a pocket knife. Throw it in a wagon. So we had that to do. And there was, we had fruit trees down west of the house, peach trees. some of that would be canned and put up. That was about the way it was around the first part of September.
Do you remember moving here at all?
Yes, I remember the day we moved out here. It was on January the 3rd of 1930. And it wasn't a cold day. It was a warm, sunny day. And we came out here, brought our furniture and stuff, moved in the house. But before we moved, we still living in Childress. We had just come back from Oklahoma. And it was one Sunday, I think, that we came out here looking for the place. And we stopped at the house that was down there where we turned around. Remember where we turned around?
Uh-huh.
That house there, we stopped there. And asked the woman where the place was. She pointed up on the hill, said it's up there on the hill. So we came up here. There was people living here at that time, but they were getting ready to move. That was, I guess that was before Christmas.
Okay, so you moved here just before Christmas?
Well, we came out here and looked just
I see.
before Christmas, but we didn't move until after Christmas. It was on January 3, 1930. That we moved out here and moved in this house.
A lot of family history went down in the preceding or the following years.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember a whole lot about that year. We started school down there at Community Center. We had a bad snowstorm that year. Snow just covered up this whole country. Uncle Ellis was living with us at that time, and I remember one day Papa and Uncle Ellis went out to see if they could get some rabbits for us to eat. We didn't have much to eat. They got some rabbits, I remember. Then it started getting warm, the snow melted. Springtime came on. Papa started plowing down there in what we call the flat. I remember that. I came home from school and he was down there, had the 4 horses, mules, pulling a 1-row plow. He was plowing up the ground, listing. But before spring, down here in the south side of the place, at the land down there, we call that the new ground. He broke that out himself. He planted the first crop that was ever planted on that piece of ground.
Cotton crop?
Cotton crop and watermelons. That's where he raised his watermelons. We had so much trouble with crows coming and eating the watermelons after they had got up mature that he had put scarecrows all up and down the rows to keep the crows scared away.
And Joe was born out here?
Joe was born here on June the 4th, 1930. Right after we moved out here the first summer. I remember that day. I don't know why. Well, I didn't know why at the time. That Papa gathered us up in that old Model T hoopie, we called it, and drove down to that family where we turned around. We had gotten acquainted with them. They had kids the same age as we were. And he unloaded us there. But instead of coming back up here, he went on around to that house way around on that side where Mr. Bishop lived, and he had a telephone. I didn't know then what he was doing. Pretty soon he came back by, and he didn't stop where we were. He came on up here. And then later that day, after we had played down there with those kids all day, he came down there to get us. Brought us back up here, and we came in the house. And there was Mama in bed with that little bitty rat. And that was Joe.
And my dad was born out here too.
Yeah, Grady was born. I didn't even know Grady was on the way. Mama was rather heavy, and anyway, and he came during the night. So I remember waking up one morning. This is in November, 1932. I guess it's Hazel was the first one I had heard anything said about it. She said, "Do you know what we got?" You know, we got a little baby, and I didn't even know we'd do one. We went in the front room there, and there Mama with another little baby boy. And that turned out to be Grady.
It's also this house where grandmother, your mother, first got ill. Was she stayed in the front room here? Or
Yeah, she stayed in the front room on that bed in there. That was where they slept. Papa and Mama slept in there on that bed in the front room. And then I guess I wasn't really old enough to watch operations very much or what was going on. But he went to town. And then he came back riding in the ambulance. And the ambulance stopped out there in the front yard and brought that rolling cot out there and rolled it in the house and put her on it. Rolled her out that front door. I remember the last thing she said. She said, "You children be good. I'll be back." But she never did come back.
We talked a little bit before. I'd like to ask you again. What was it like out here managing without a mother following us?
Well, us kids were thrown together out here by ourselves. And I feel like that might be the reason that we're such a close-knit family as we are. That we played together, and we had to. That's all we had, just each other. We'd play all kinds of different games. I guess one of the favorite ones is what we call Annie Over. We had a ball, and we played it in the front yard, and on the west side of the house, we'd divide up into two groups, and one side on one side, and others on the other side. The one that had the ball, we'll call that Annie, and the other one said over, and the other one said, "Well, here she comes," and we'd throw it over. And somebody on the other side would catch the ball, and we didn't know which way they was coming, from this way or that way. But anyway, the one with the ball had to come around and hit one that was on the other side. Of course, that one that got hit had to go and join that other side. So we'd keep playing like that until everybody was all on one side. One side lost and the other side won. We played that, and we played Piggy Wants a Signal, and we played Kick the Can, and we played Red Line. Played that quite a bit.
This is about everybody's favorite place. Do you think there's any reason why it holds such a special significance?
We grew up here, and I guess it's more like home than any other place that we've lived. That's probably the reason. It just has a certain place in our lives that means something to us. But that's the reason we always thought so much of it. Up and do different things. They have some kind of a ball game going. Sometimes those boys would ride calves.
Ride calves?
Ride calves. They'd try to be rodeo performers. Which we didn't get very far, but we tried.
Aldine mentioned something about some of them used to get together and put on plays.
We did. We had a place down there. It was made looked like just for that purpose, a little amphitheater thing. Everybody would make up a little skit of some sort. Get all the actors in that he could, put on that little skit.
Did you have an audience?
The ones that wasn't in the skid. Sometimes wasn't very many. Shotgun on the shoulder. Walking down there where we were working. They didn't stay quiet with us. You always like to be around where there's kids.
And what a special significance he was to this family.
Well, he became part of the family.
Exactly.
Later on. He was well known all over this country because of his build. He was big and strong, and all the girls wanted him. They called him Fuzzy because he had heavy growth of hair on his arms, the lower arms. He was fuzzy.
Tree was the workshop?
That's that same old tree, that workshop.
If they needed it working on, that's where you did it.
Yeah. Papa brought in a piece of railroad iron, I guess maybe 3 feet long, one day and set it up there to use for an anvil. Stayed there, well, it was still there when we left. I don't know where it became of it. We had to do some hammering on his equipment and stuff. We had to leave limbs going down all the way to the ground like it was then. Like it is now. Down there, he was down there picking that cotton. He came over.
Mom, we can make it. Mom,
The stage.
Yeah.
Down here below is the audience.
And together. And then in the Oh, in the early spring, late spring, a lot of leisure time. All the time. In the summertime we had leisure time because we only had one plow and one team. So
Didn't take 8 children to do that.
Papa was doing that. So that left us alone to take care of ourselves.
I think we're going to get wet again. Still think I'd take this over the heat though. Well, we talked about a little bit at the reunion. Let me get a shot if I may. By here. I'll ask you what message you'd like to leave for present and future generations of this family. Do you remember what you talked about?
I don't remember what I said.
Remain as a family.
Oh, stay in the family.
Get that set up. And if there's anything else you want to throw in, feel free. Set up here. Yeah, look off to my right, just like you're doing there, so you don't look straight at the camera. Look off, well, or whichever way is more comfortable. Doesn't matter.
Say about the future is if we could all stay together as a family, enjoy each other's company the way we do when we get together, and as long as we're living, just don't forget each other. Just stay a close-knit family. It's going to be kind of hard to do. Generations coming because they're going to have their ancestors to look back on and their futures and everything like that. So it's a lot of this is going to be forgotten about. Sure would be easy to forget all of it. Scatter out. Don't know each other anymore. Like so many families, it's the way they are.
Very good. Not much left.